Not everyone should have access to your emotional vulnerabilities. That's not being secretive, it's being smart. Too often, we rush into relationships or interactions thinking that transparency equals trust. We overshare because we crave connection, and somewhere along the way, we start to believe that being open about every pain, fear, or insecurity is how we build closeness. But the truth is, some people use what you reveal not to build with you, but to break you down when things go sideways. Your emotional weak spots are like open wounds. They require time, care, and safety to heal. Just because someone is present doesn't mean they're safe. Sharing the most delicate parts of yourself with the wrong person doesn't create intimacy. It creates risk. And once you've handed someone the blueprint to your triggers, your fears, your pain, you've also given them the power to press buttons you can't easily defend. Emotional intelligence isn't just about understanding your feelings, it's about protecting them until someone has earned the right to hold them with respect. There's a big difference between being guarded and being grounded. Being guarded means you expect pain and push everyone away, but being grounded means you've done the inner work. You know what hurts you, what builds you, and what breaks you. You don't spill your story to fill silence. You don't reveal your scars just to prove you've healed. You speak when it's safe. You share when it's right, and that takes discipline. You are not obligated to explain your trauma to someone just because they ask. You don't owe anyone a play of your emotional past, your failed relationships, or the deepest moments of your insecurity. That story is yours. You've lived it. You've earned the right to share it on your timeline, not theirs. And anyone who pushes you to open up too fast is often more interested in your vulnerability than your wholeness. That's a red flag, not a relationship. Protecting your emotional weak spots doesn't mean you'll never share them. It means you'll share them *wisely, slowly, intentionally. You'll watch how people respond to your boundaries before you hand them your broken pieces. You'll notice how someone treats your silence, whether they respect it or resent it. That will tell you everything you need to know about whether they're safe enough to see what's underneath. When you guard your emotional world with wisdom, you take back your power. You don't live in fear. You live in strength. You stop giving people ammunition and start observing their behavior. You stop trying to be liked and start choosing to be respected. And respect always begins with how you treat yourself. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is keep quiet. Not because you're hiding, but because you're healing. Because some parts of your story aren't ready to be shared. Because some people haven't earned the right to hear them. That's not cold. That's clarity. So the next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to overshare, to pour your heart out in hopes that it will create closeness, pause, ask yourself, has this person shown they can be trusted with the truth? Or do I just want to be seen? You deserve to be seen, but not at the cost of your emotional safety. There is strength in restraint. There is wisdom in silence. Protect what matters. Heal what hurts. And remember, not everyone deserves the softest parts of you. Your financial life is not a public document. It's a private matter that reflects your priorities, your discipline, your plans, and your independence. Too often, people feel pressured to disclose their earnings, savings, spending habits, or long-term financial goals early in relationships, as if financial transparency should be the foundation for trust. But here's the truth. Sharing your money story too soon can create dynamics that aren't about love or connection. They're about control, expectation, and even manipulation. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you manage your money. Whether you've built something from the ground up or are just starting out, your financial strategy is deeply personal. It reflects your values, your upbringing, and your hard-earned lessons. And until there is genuine trust, mutual respect, and long-term commitment, those details don't belong on the table. Money in the wrong hands becomes leverage. It becomes a scoreboard. It becomes a reason to question your decisions, challenge your independence, or criticize your priorities. If someone knows what you earn, they may start to make assumptions about what you should be doing. If they know what you spend, they may begin to insert their opinions where they don't belong. That's not a partnership. That's intrusion. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself justifying every financial choice you make, not because it's right or wrong, but because someone else feels entitled to an answer. Let's be clear, honesty is important. But honesty doesn't mean full access. There is a difference between secrecy and privacy. Secrecy hides with the intent to deceive. Privacy protects with the intent to preserve. Keeping your financial details private isn't dishonesty, it's discernment. You're allowed to move in silence, to invest without broadcasting, to build without explaining, and this goes beyond dollars and cents. It's also about your financial mindset, how you view money, what you value, what you're building toward. Sharing that with someone who doesn't have the same discipline, respect, or vision can create unnecessary tension. If you're working on long-term goals, paying off debt, building a business, investing for the future, then you need space to focus, not distractions from someone who doesn't see the bigger picture. Some people will judge you not by your heart, but by your wallet. They'll treat you better if they think you have more, or worse if they think you have less. That's not love, that's evaluation. And when money becomes the lens through which someone views you, the relationship stops being about connection and starts being about currency. So, guard your financial boundaries, especially in the early stages of any relationship. Don't let anyone guilt you into revealing more than you're ready to share. Don't feel obligated to explain your financial past, your current status, or your future plans to someone who hasn't earned that level of access. Let trust build naturally. Let shared values reveal themselves over time. And when the time is right, when both people are fully invested in the relationship, not just the numbers, then you can make decisions together. Until then, stay grounded, handle your business. Pay attention to how people react when you protect your privacy, because how they respond to your boundaries says more than what they claim about their intentions. You are not a bank account. You are not a credit score. You are not a salary. You are a whole human being capable, independent, and complete, and your finances, that's your foundation, so keep it strong, keep it private, and most importantly, keep it yours. There's something powerful about silence. In a world that constantly pushes you to announce your goals, share your moves, and broadcast every win, choosing to move quietly is one of the most underestimated forms of strength. Not every step needs a status update. Not every plan requires a witness. Sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is keep your next move to yourself. When you're working towards something meaningful, whether it's a career shift, a business idea, a personal transformation, or even a boundary you're learning to hold, it deserves to grow in peace. The moment you start explaining your vision too early, you invite in opinions, doubts, and distractions that weren't part of the plan. Suddenly, what was once clear becomes cloudy. What felt exciting starts to feel uncertain. Not because your idea lost value, but because you allowed too many voices into the room. The truth is, not everyone wants to see you win, and even those who care about you may not always understand what you're building. Their reactions are often more about their own fears, limitations, or comfort zones than about your actual capability. They may tell you to slow down, to play it safe, to be realistic, not because you can't, but because they wouldn't. That's not guidance, that's projection, and when you're constantly explaining yourself, you start internalizing that noise. Moving in silence isn't about being sneaky, it's about protecting momentum. It's about preserving the energy that fuels your progress. When your goals are in their early stages, they're fragile. They don't need criticism before they've had time to take shape. They need your focus, your discipline, your belief. Speaking on something too soon can dilute all of that. You can end up spending more time defending your dream than actually working on it. And sometimes it's not even about others' opinions. It's about avoiding the trap of performance. The moment you announce a move, it creates a sense of pressure to produce, to prove, to show results quickly. That pressure can pull you out of alignment with the process. You stop building for purpose and start building for approval. That's a fast road to burnout and regret. Your next step is yours. It's okay to keep it quiet until you've moved far enough along that no one's doubt can shake it. It's okay to protect your peace by not explaining yourself. You don't have to justify your ambition. You don't need permission to evolve. What you do need is clarity, consistency, and confidence in your vision. And all of those things grow best in silence. Let your work speak. Let your results surprise. Let your peace be your anchor. You don't owe anyone a preview of the life you're building, especially not when they haven't shown they're rooting for it. Move with intention. Move with grace, and remember, not everything has to be seen to be successful. Your self-worth is not something you hand over to another person hoping they'll take care of it. It's not a gift, it's not a request, and it's definitely not a question. It's something you hold, something you build, and something you protect every single day. The moment you start depending on someone else to validate you, you give them power they were never meant to have. Too many people get caught in a cycle of needing to be seen, complimented, chosen, or praised in order to feel okay about themselves. And while it's human to want affirmation, it becomes dangerous when your sense of value starts rising and falling based on how someone else treats you. When that happens, you're not grounded. You're drifting, constantly adjusting your worth based on someone else's behavior, mood, or words. That's not love, that's dependency. You are not more worthy because someone notices you. You are not less worthy because someone ignores you. Your value doesn't change based on how others feel about you. It's rooted in how you see yourself, how you show up for yourself, and how you speak to yourself when no one else is watching. You've got to stop waiting for someone to make you feel important. Stop measuring your confidence by how much attention you're getting or how often someone compliments your appearance, your work, or your presence. That kind of external validation feels good, but it's temporary. It fades the moment the attention shifts. What's real, what lasts, is the confidence you build quietly when no one is clapping. The kind that says, even if no one sees me today, I still see myself. Self-worth isn't about ego. It's about knowing what you bring to the table and refusing to shrink just to make someone else comfortable. It's about knowing that your standards, your boundaries, your goals, your energy, they matter. And you don't need to lower any of that just to keep someone who doesn't value it. When you let someone else define your worth, you also let them decide when you're enough. That's a dangerous place to be. Because the moment they're gone, so is your identity. But when you've built yourself, worth from within, you're unshakable, you're not arrogant, you're aligned, you're not desperate for approval, you're at peace with yourself. The way you talk to yourself, the way you stand up for yourself, the way you set boundaries, all of that is a reflection of how much you value who you are. And when you value yourself, you stop begging for what you deserve. You stop chasing people who aren't meant for you. You stop letting people treat you like an option when you know you're the prize. So don't wait for someone to recognize your worth before you believe in it. Don't hand your self-esteem to someone and hope they'll protect it. Build it, keep it, own it. Because when your worth comes from within, no one can take it away. Forgiveness is personal. It's not something you owe on demand, and it's not a process you need to explain. When someone wrongs you, they don't get to dictate how long it takes for you to feel better. They don't get to rush your healing or pressure you into pretending like everything is fine when it's not. Forgiveness isn't a performance, it's a choice, and that choice is yours, not theirs. Too often, people who hurt you want quick forgiveness, not because they're truly sorry, but because they're uncomfortable with your discomfort. They want you to let it go, move on, and get over it, so they can feel better. Not so you can heal better. That's not accountability. That's convenience. And when you rush to forgive just to keep the peace, you end up abandoning your own process in the name of someone else's comfort. Your healing has no deadline. It doesn't follow a schedule. It's not linear, and it's not something anyone else can measure. Some wounds go deeper than others. Some betrayals shake your trust, your identity, or your sense of safety. And getting back to wholeness from that, it takes time, real time, private time, quiet time. You don't owe updates, progress reports, or explanations for how long it's taking. Forgiveness also isn't a sign that you're weak, or that you've forgotten what happened. It's not about excusing someone's behavior or pretending it didn't affect you. It's about deciding, in your own time, to stop carrying the weight of someone else's actions. It's about choosing peace over bitterness, but only when you're truly ready. Not when someone else insists you should be. There's strength in saying, I'm not there yet. There's clarity in honoring your emotions instead of burying them. You're allowed to be angry, disappointed, or hurt. You're allowed to take space, and anyone who truly respects you won't rush your process. They'll respect your pace. Sometimes people will say, if you really cared, you'd forgive me. But the truth is, if they really cared, they'd give you the time and space to process what happened. They'd focus less on being forgiven and more on being accountable. That's what real change looks like. It's not about pushing you to move on. It's about making sure they never put you in that position again. You don't need to explain why it still hurts. You don't need to justify why you're still distant, still quiet, still unsure. Your boundaries are allowed to exist even after you've forgiven someone. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. It doesn't always mean trust is restored. It simply means you're choosing your peace, but on your terms. So hold your timeline sacred. Listen to your heart, and don't let anyone shame you into skipping steps in your healing journey just because they want to feel better faster. This isn't about them, it's about you, and you deserve the time it takes to feel whole again. No apologies, no pressure, and no rush. Privacy is not a flaw, it's not cold, it's not distance, it's wisdom. In a world where oversharing is normalized and people wear vulnerability like a badge for attention, choosing to keep certain things to yourself isn't a weakness, it's maturity. Not everything you think, feel, plan, or dream needs to be spoken out loud or shared with someone else. Some things are better kept sacred, personal, and protected. There's a big difference between hiding and choosing to remain private. Hiding is rooted in fear and shame. Privacy, on the other hand, is rooted in confidence and clarity. It means you know your worth, your direction, and your truth, and you don't need constant approval or validation to walk in it. You're not withholding because you're unsure. You're withholding because you're certain. When you choose to stay private, you create space for peace. You give yourself the freedom to evolve without commentary. You reduce noise and distractions, and you protect your mind from outside expectations. Not everyone is equipped to understand your journey. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world, and giving the wrong person too much insight too soon can lead to confusion, misunderstanding, or even manipulation. Some people listen just to find a weak spot. They collect your details, your past, your dreams, and hold them like ammunition ready to use when things don't go their way. Privacy helps you avoid that trap. It shields your softness from those who don't have the capacity to handle it gently. And that's not paranoia, that's protection. Keeping things to yourself also builds strength. You learn to validate your own voice. You stop looking outward for confirmation and begin trusting your own decisions. The less you depend on external feedback, the more grounded you become. That kind of self-trust can't be shaken by temporary opinions or passing emotions. It becomes part of who you are. You are allowed to keep your process private, your healing, your growth, your relationships, your personal standards. You don't need to explain why you chose silence, why you moved differently, or why you didn't share certain chapters of your life. Not everything needs a witness. Sometimes the most powerful things happen behind closed doors, where no one is watching, judging, or interfering. Privacy also protects your energy. The more you share, the more you invite people's expectations into your world. And the more expectations, the harder it becomes to stay true to yourself. Silence allows you to stay aligned. It gives you room to make changes, to shift direction, and to take risks without carrying the weight of someone else's opinion. So protect your peace, guard your process, move with quiet confidence, speak when it's necessary, not when it's expected, share with intention, not out of pressure, and trust that you don't have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes, the strongest people in the room are the ones who say the least, and still walk with certainty. That's the power of privacy.